Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another Sucks Bop, which popped into my head during the edit of the first installment, the Stream of Consciousness series, the Bruce Overhaul program. Since you left last and met us now, we transferred through the time where the sun goes to bed, got up the next morning, came out here, and immediately got to business. And the business was not good, unless you want to consider it that Bruce and his components were in the business of giving me the business. I've got to turn this off. Ka-thump. Can you recall that he's got a little bit of wanderlust to him, which I know is kind of part of Leaf Springs, but he had a really loosey-goosey knuckle. And I think, I'm speculating here, what happened is, on these guys, the one-piece shouldered screw, the kingpins that went through, I think that kingpin basically kind of just wallowed itself out enough, right? So that one removed pretty easily. So there's 4 kingpins total, 2 uppers, 2 lowers. That one came out okay. You'll notice that this one has the little top guy removed, the little tiny screws that hold this in place. That one stripped out instantly, and I had used a little micro torch on them to try to get them apart. This one stripped out. This one broke. The top one in here almost stripped out, and this one came out fine, because I think what happened is the steel of the shouldered screw, here's one that has all the bite marks from the Negosaurus that I had to use to remove it. They were starting to kind of swage themselves in. They were becoming one with the aluminum. So with the process that I had to undergo to get those apart, torch, vise, pry bar. I wasn't going to put these back on. I hope that's algae. It's gross. I wasn't going to put those back on. Luckily, in the bin, a veritable surplus of just stock Vanquish F10 knuckles. So we've got F10 knuckles on, which are exactly the same as they were before. So they fit just like they did before. And because they're brand new plastics, there's no wiggle, there's no woggle. And because we're going belt and suspenders and they're nutted on the top and everything, I think everything is going to be fine. I just had a pizza that had corn on it, which is, I mean, I like corn, but even after having ingested it, I don't know how I feel about corn on a pizza. I mounted the first 2. I mounted the front shock towers. Look at those hundos. I said top hole, middle hole in the tower. We are at perfect, and I have them filled with Traxxas 70 weight. Like here's my problem. I'm too used to working on things that I build to crawl rocks. And this is a trail guy. He's big. He's heavy. His front bumper weighs a pound. So when I go like this, I go, oh my God, that is way too firm. Then I remember that he weighs like 14 pounds. So it potentially is not too firm. We have got to get... Oh! I pulled all of the leaf packs apart. I drilled the additional leaf. You can see the curve there as they kind of pop it up. Drilled the additional leaf, put those in place, and this bottle is near vintage now, Bow Shield T9. I heartily bow shielded them. It's basically a wax. Bow shield is sort of like a wax. So my leaves are waxed. So hopefully this will stop them from rusting together. While I was at it, I pulled the front axle completely apart. I pulled the rear axle completely apart. There has been, much to my astonishment, 0 water intrusion into either housing. There were no deposits, there was no debris, there was no grit, there was no nothing. So these have been fully submerged multiple times. They're still super smooth. Just because I had them open, I put another little squirt of grease into each of them. They seem, I mean, nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. So we've got to, it occurred to me, and it was like, we're going to do that thing again, where these are all T9'd as well, because these are steel. And really one of the only, there's not a lot of all steel bits on Bruce at this point. A little bit of superficial rust forming on some of these. They were plated, but then they get ground on as we drive all day. So we've got to get the rear reinstalled so that we can drill the towers, which we just do in place, which is the best, honestly, truly the best way to do anything, because we're only doing it once. We have no worries about reproducing any of this. The hope is that we don't have to do this again, as I mentioned. The hope is that his next service interval, by the way, I don't want to mess up my filing system, so I'm not going to stack them all up in front of you. But I will tell you this. I can't even find the drill that's underneath the vehicle. There's the snapped one. That was a good 30 minutes getting that apart. That was what brought the blowtorch out the first time. I was like, I bet that if we put some real heat to this, I bet we can get the tip of that screw to come out. And then I hit it with a diamond wheel and put a little, just the tiniest, I was going for a groove, but you know that is tool hardened when it was a hardened steel pin. So I managed to just scratch it, basically. But that scratch was enough, because thanks to the scratch, I could use my good buddy, the economically sourced dental pick, and I managed to get that piece of screw out. For those who are unaware, on the F10, on the alloy F10s, there are little, like, triangle-shaped threaded guys that are steel instead of just threading directly into the aluminum. I genuinely think it would probably be better off if it was just threaded into the aluminum. But these are, of course, the fake Vanquish F10Ts, but the real Vanquish axles work exactly the same. I don't know if you'll, yeah. So right there, you see that little guy? That bit snapped off in there. So I converted to brass hats that are in there, and then big stainless M3x12s. I don't mind. This is not going to get stuck on stuff down in the rocks. It's also, I don't see these having any chance of stripping out because they're 2.5s. If I felt super confident and thought, oh, well, maybe we just won't go in the water anymore, I would have put black oxide. But I thought better of it and installed stainless. I have got 2 sets of 10 Pros. I'm basically going to have to drain 2 of them no matter what, because I'm going to want to run at least 80. I mean, they're not the worst. As far as axial shocks go, you kind of know you're operating from a position of there's going to be a little bit of leakery going on. I mean, it's axial shocks. I wish that there was a way around it. We can put lizard seals in them, slow them down a little bit. Oh man. Okay. Watch the amount of oil that pours out of here. That's about a quarter of the amount of oil that should have been in that shock. These are takeoffs. I want to say these were takeoffs off of, like, this one is full nearly up to the top. You can see the top edge of the oil. Like, and that was low C40. You can tell by the purplish hue there. It just, they got really close. I will give them that. I sat and I thought, I tried to do other things. I tried to occupy myself, and I just kept thinking, all right, what do we need to do? And I said, well, what we need to do is we need to get shock tower. Well, first we need to mount the shocks. Then we need to mount the towers. And I will say that freshly filled, they feel great. That's real nice. Did I anticipate at any point putting 100mm shocks on my FMS FJ40? Not really. Not really. But I did modify the Atlas when it was here. Same chassis, same axles, or same stock axles. I did modify that to run 80s. It's just there's so much oil all the time that you think it's leaking out of everything. I can't tell if it's leaking out down here at the base. Maybe. A little overfilled. And then the way they're built, because they use a two-piece cap. So the bleeder works reasonably well, but what happens is there's the thread gap between the cap and the cap, between the locking part of the cap and the mounting part of the cap. So then, even if you have it cranked down all the way, as you cycle it, we get the little blurb of oil plopping out. So the ones that are mounted in the front and have been in there since before the corn pizza episode are already, there's a little wetness down at the bottom. It's not encouraging. But you know what they are? They're 100mm, and they're in-house. And I don't need 95s, and I don't need 90s. I need hundreds. These are hundreds, and I overfilled that one. So this one is going to expel and express. Get it down like that, and then the bleeding mechanism actually works pretty good. I could have gone to the bins and put Desert Lizard seals in them, and let's be honest, I probably should have. But then I had a counter notion to that, which is, brother, you got so much to do before Bruce is going to get anywhere near a rock or trail again, and we would like him to not be out of service for a month. So get him put together and run the, we're going to just keep burbling, run the 10 Pros, and then make a decision as to whether or not you think that it's something that warrants investment. Like, are we going to go to a better shock? Or a shock less prone to leaking, I should say. You almost need 2 shock pliers to build these correctly. Because you really want to get that, like, I'm getting tightness. That might help. If you grab it by the bottom seal pack and crank the top with the wrench. Oh, wow, yeah, that forced all that last bit of air out of this one. This is not bad. That's a reasonable extension speed. But this guy, whoo. We might Like it might have been better off with a little bit of oil, a little bit of more air in there. But we're not here to increase travel. We're here to put on a shock that will at least leak more slowly. And that these will definitely do. I knew I had ordered all these offset ends for a reason. I didn't remember what the reason was. I just set down 2, and the one went directly to the Shadow Realm. So my watch likes to tell me this thing, you know, I say I live by the... I'm not a slave to the rings as I once was, but I am to a degree. So I try to close my stand ring, where you stand for 1 minute in 12 hours of each day. And I come out here and I won't sit down for 3-4 hours at a time. And invariably the watch goes, time to stand. And I'm like, I've been standing for hours. So you have to do something. So I walked out back because this morning there's 2 pumps in the pond. One makes a fountain and the other one drives the waterfall. The pump, the hose that goes to the waterfall had popped off. So I was like, not a problem, could fix that. Reached down into that somewhat murky morning water, reconnected the hose, came back in the shop, got back to work. Thing told me all you need to do is stand. So I ambled out there. I took a look at the pond, and the pond was right around half empty. And I'm like, what? So, a combination of a wicked, evil water plant, which wants to kill all of the other water plants, grows in the stream betwixt the waterfall and the pond proper. And it had used its roots and piles of dirt and rock kicked out by the infernal ground squirrels to block all of the water passage off. So water basically couldn't get up to the top of the stream. So I was like, oh, you piece of... So I just get a Sawzall and I just start cutting away at the roots. I have been in the pond today, basically. About up to the knees and up to the elbows. And you have that feeling. Have you ever been in a pond or a lake that's a little, shall we call it, claggy? A little claggy. I feel both dry, like overly dry, and tacky at the same time. I'm lakey. I have a lake effect going on. And I was out there for the better part of an hour. Not correcting that. Came back in here and said, you know what we should do? We should recordo. And the other part of me was like, great idea. Because if we can get shock towers on... Oh, I think also, I had pond thoughts. I wasn't thinking about the pond while I was working on the pond. I was like, I'm going to trim this infernal thing. Filled half a green waste can with it. I think I know how I want to do at least the tower brace for the front. I'm still unsure as to how I'm going to do the tower brace in the rear. I need an A and a B. We're going to see where this best lines up in the back here. Ooh, yeah. Now, we might run these with no springs in the back, but I want to try running with a spare on the back. So I think I'm going to fabricate both methods. Either test it with the ladder or try it with a spare. I just think a spare will look really good. And when it comes to Bruce, it's more what's going to look good than anything else. So, want to get the shock stood up about straight. Right about there. Make sure the shock's extended out all the way so that we're getting the holes lined up. Yeah, okay. So this is flip-flopped relative to the front tower. So this is an A, and in the front we have a B. So if we run a B on the rear, we would want this tower right about, yeah, see, I had a much easier system in the front. All I did was take the front of the tower and butt it up against this screw that's already in there. So that way I know that the two towers are perfectly straight across from one another. I'm looking at existing holes in the chassis, and there's really only one that is cooperative, and I think it leans the shock backwards ever so slightly. But it would also make this far, far simpler. And so long as the shock isn't hitting the tower, I think that's the way to go. Just right like that. That way we only have to drill one hole. And it is then rendered super simple. Oh yes, my arm just stuck to all the T9 bow shield that was on this, and of course all of the stuff that I had piled on it fell off onto the ground. The mess extends in every direction, and there's so much, and it's going to get so much worse. It's definitely going to get worse before it gets better. I have almost every, you know how I love these? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 of them out. We're in deep, and what I'm trying to do is live in the moment, because if I stop to think about what is still undone and what need be done, I'm gonna crash out, man. And I have other stuff on the docket. I've got there is other content queued to be created. So you are here for any number of reasons that I can't determine. But primarily, you are in this. This exists almost strictly because I bit it all off. Not even more than I can chew. I bit all of it off. I have to get him put together. Like, we can't do the bumper. Like, see, I'm already getting ahead of myself. We can't do the bumper until the suspension is mounted and the body has been cut to clear the shock towers. See, before I tighten that shock tower down, I needed to take our buddy ethanol. I need to clean that down. Otherwise, it's not going to take the mark from the marker. Swing that out of the way. We haven't even well, I mean, we made those, but fabrication has begun only in earnest. And I do like having this tightened down all the way. I wish there had been a hole, a stock hole I could have used in the front, but there absolutely was not. I don't like having a really messy work area. I keep stepping on, what is that? Kingpin? Oh, both of the drive pins that go through the axle, both of the drive pins in the front were bent inward like a banana, pressing against the bearing. Probably not helping. If nothing else, the next time Bruce heads out onto the trails, his efficiency is going to be up. Because he's not going to have stuff binding. Hopefully he's not going to have stuff binding like he did before. This is directly through the rail. Not into anything. There's no plastic or anything on the other side. I had initially said that I would like to do like a bar across from the two. I think I'm just going to do lock nuts. I think I'm just going to do lock nuts. Hopefully, I don't want to say never, but hopefully we never need to take the towers off. Swing that out of the way. then double check it. Looks good. Punch the other one. This chassis is going to have a lot of holes drilled in it. It already kind of does. It's going to have a lot more. Corn on a pizza. Still thinking about it. I mean, it was okay. It just, if somebody puts corn on a pizza, maybe it's just me. When you're eating it, you're never thinking, oh boy, pizza. I've made it to my advanced age that I live at now, never having had corn on a pizza before. Now, in fairness to everyone, to include a bus for everyone involved, we went out to eat, and my wife ordered a barbecue chicken pizza because my wife eats about the quantity of an infant child. And she knew there would be a bunch of leftovers, and she knows that I can eat barbecue chicken pizza. So, why would she have thought? No one could blame her for this. Why would you think, oh man, I should check to see if there's corn on it? So, she ate even less than she ordinarily does because she was absolutely not on board. Corn on pizza. It was fine. Would I do it again? I don't think so. I don't think so. Presumably you can order that pizza without corn. I know, I'm dwelling, but just put yourself in a theoretical position where you're ordering a pizza at a place that has one of those menus that's probably a little bit too varied. Like they don't really subscribe to the Ramsey school of, pick a thing and do that thing well. So there's too many things on the menu, and you say, I would like the barbecue chicken pizza. No corn, please. What? Anyway, I'll get past it, and I'll get over it. The funnest of the fun, the coolest of the cool, the weirdest of the weird is going to be fitting the body over these shock towers, because I'm going to have to do guesstimative math. I'm going to have to look at how I think things line up, and we're going to have to make educated guesses so that we don't just cut huge gaping holes. Is that tight? There it is. All right. That rear tower, those rear towers, they're going nowhere. TRX4 towers, I am so glad that the bins were rewarded us with these, because they're not all just open. It's not just going to be a big open hole, because the whole deal is I want to install the fenders in the front so that the engine bay doesn't get as filled with muck. These will be much easier to cut out. I can basically set them in place like that, do a mark around it, and cut them out. Just like that. The rear, on the other hand, we got to try to set the body down over it. And the body is going to have to go through some, hopefully smaller than large level of disassembly to really assess the roll down the hill damage. And we've got to replace the radio and all the electronics. We've got to mount the electronics box. I want it right here. We've got plenty of room under the hood-ish. Because we do have to get the battery under there, unless we want to go Nigel. Which way do these go? Yeah. Unless we want to go Nigel and run an extension to the back and run the battery in the back. A big part of the reason that I was absolutely fine Actually, I think so. This is adding a pound of spring. That's probably great. Actually, I would be fine with moving the battery to the back because it's a pound. His front bumper weighs a pound, and he was getting I don't want to move too much weight to the back. He would really throw his nose in the air on any ascent above a certain indeterminate angle. I mean, we just get to there. For those who don't know, okay, that's in the lowest hole. I'm looking at the axle height. Buddy is going to have... I'm going to leave it right there. We've got the rear axle drooped down a little lower. Look at that nice perfect arc to the spring. Now, hopefully, like I wasn't getting wrap. It didn't look like the axle was trying to roll over. It just looked like the amount of weight that was being exerted right where the end of the longest helper was just crinkling the upper spring. So it's got a little bend right there. That long spring is almost too well. I don't know why they went with 140 millimeter. I don't know why they did it. So we deal with what we deal with. I've also got the drive shafts cleaned up a bit and should be ready for reassembly. Now what I didn't check was, did I assemble this one? Because what I did is I lengthened this one. We had a little bit of it, we had it a little too short. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. Good. And I do have these, the screw pins are alloy. They show no signs of wear. They're oxide coated. There's no rust on them. I really thought we would see more in the way of rust on any part. Ferrous, but so far so good. The number of parts that have already been replaced are greater than what I would have anticipated. I need a pin. My temptation is always to grab the 1.5, and that's how I've broken them in the past. Don't do the stuff that I do. Like, think more in advance. Don't just have a notion and then attack that notion. Nice. Yeah, the rear is now 0 floppiness. And hopefully the front will be 0 floppiness as well. Because the front was the one that had a bunch of flopping. Oh, that's why. I see why now. We need to make the front one segment longer. And I did what I always do, which is, of course, start to take things apart. Paused, caught myself, and said, why don't you look through the bin and see if maybe, just follow me here, maybe you have a drive shaft segment that is already assembled and already the length that you need. And much to my surprise, I actually have more than one. So his front drive shaft has been swibbity swapped now. Get that bolted on there. And yes, we've taken about 90% out of the play of the rear and about 60% out of the front. I think it's because this is not a hyper optimal angle right here, and we would have a matching angle at the top. So they have a little more, I don't know, yaw, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. The rear has much straighter at the bottom and worse at the top. So we will just keep an eye on them over time. I'm still not 100% used to vehicles that put a bunch of miles on, like a lot of miles. And this is that. Yeah, I don't mind that amount of shock lean at all. I mean, honestly, it looks... We're getting enough parallax to the lens that it almost doesn't look like it's leaning. It's leaning back 4 or 5 millimeters. But I didn't want to drill more holes. I will gladly take the 2-hole drillings. Oh, yes. We don't have to worry about the braces yet. We need to, I mean, let's be fair, right? I can't. At least for the moment, we have a clear workspace and one step closer to the edge. This is exactly what you would anticipate it being. You line up the fender as best you can. You make some silver Sharpie marks. Pick one. I started on this side, and I got it. You know, it's close enough. We don't have huge clearances around it in any dimension. And then you just slap them against each other, mark it out again. It takes you half an hour to get the first one right, and it takes you 5 minutes to do the other one. And there they are. I was worried initially, like they start to feel a little after you've cut a big chunk of the bent part out. But once all the screws are in, it feels as robust as any other part. That's going to help a lot. We are still really open down here, and okay. I've also been contemplating, because, well, we may end up generating work for ourselves in the future, because I'm wondering about flipping the servo around the other way so that the horn is basically right in the middle. Because with the horn right in the middle, we'll need a much shorter drag link. And the only reason that this would be impactful is you see how the drag link goes now. When we go full lock to this side, which we actually have to set our endpoints right about there, otherwise it puts the nose of the trepidor right into the leaf, and it tends to kind of make you want to... Right. So even when we get over right about, say, here, bink, bink, bink. So if that horn is in the middle, that's not going to be an issue. Now, we would have to make a very short drag link, although very short drag link is advantageous. We've already made most everything else. We'd be looking at 72 millimeters compared to the 97 that we have now. The problem with that is I love a turnbuckle. I love me some titanium in that application, and I don't know if I have anything that will go down, that we can get down that short. 70 odd is odd. It's in betweener. We might. I will dig through that bin later and we'll make that determination, because the way the front end in this is fitted, there's only 2 screws. This part is wedged under the frame rail, so the servo mount actually only has 2 holes in it, so it won't be a problem. I got the little... It was not fun to get these little guys out, the little guys that snapped off. The front end of that needs attention as much as legitimately anything. But I think you can see where we are. I had to get those parts trimmed and fitted because I want to see what is our... This does occupy a lot of the under the hood. I would like to still use this box, the element box, if possible. It looks like we have plenty of hood clearance, but we won't know if this will fit with its lid. We won't know if this will fit with its lid. Now, there is enough room. There's actually enough room with a little bit of extra right in there. I don't think that height is going to be a problem. I think it'll sit just fine right there. It gives us a place to tuck all of those wires away. That's why I like to use the big boxy guy. Now, he is just kind of floating out in open space. But I'm sure we can come up with something. There's a bunch of extra like holes in these towers, threaded no less. There's holes down here, there's holes up here. We can figure something out. That's too far forward that way. For something with so much room under the hood, we don't have a lot of usable space. I have pulled the lighting controller out, and I'm already thinking that, so this fender has a dip in it to accommodate the servo that makes the steering wheel turn. Let's see if we can tuck this out of the way for the moment. This is the wire for the light bar. We got a little baby bungee cord holding the hood open so it will stop snapping, trapping us. Now, in order to find out what we can fit in the front, what do we need to do? We need to set the body down flat. Now, we can get, there's a hollow up under here. I'm really contemplating cutting a piece of plastic, aluminum, whatever, and epoxying it up in here because it makes me a little bit nervous. So when this sits down and we line up the broken part as best we can, get the fenders tucked in. The fitment of the fenders is tremendous. I'm thinking, I don't think it's at all structural. We've got this, which is where stuck ESC was right here, and our receiver was here. I'm thinking we trim that straight off to the firewall. Because if we trim that straight off to the firewall, we've got a fairly flat section here. We've got the top of the fender on both sides. I'm thinking that if we can indeed then get that to nestle in right there, that's 20 millimeters below the frame, and then the hood has got quite an arc on it, so we've got an inch. We can definitely fit that in there, and most likely I will build something that will go frame rail to frame rail, just like a spar that goes across, and will be actually bolted into the frame rail, probably using the existing hole on that side, and we'll drill a hole on this side. Just a piece of aluminum, a square piece of aluminum, like this thickness of material right here. We'll just get that right across, which will just give us a platform to stick that down on because we have the vertical space to work with. Then we've got to trim off the front. There's a whole bunch of plastic on the inside of the grill, and we have to trim all that off so that we can affix this to the inside of the grill, trim that down to fit, drill the holes up through so that we can anchor the front. But we really cannot anchor the front until we determine where we need to cut the body out. So if we just go straight up like that, we can assume we need to line up with the holes. We need to line up with the holes. And it looks right there. Okay. This is where we may end up cutting more than we want. But the way I'm going to do it is the only way I know how. While that is sitting in position, we'll get our marker out. And I'm going to look. We're going to guesstimate. Better to cut too little than too much. I'm going to mark right there, and I'm going to mark right there. I think, where's the bumper? If we set the bumper over it, maybe it'll give us a little idea. Right there. Yeah, see, I think I have the body. I have the body pushed forward too far. We get one shot at this, and it's not like there's no coming back from this. It's just I would like to cut as little out of the frame as I possibly can. I need a mark here. Or did I? Oh, I only have it too far back by like 3-4 millimeters maybe. So we are actually looking better than I thought. I wish, oh do I wish, that those tabs weren't broken off in the front. If the tabs weren't broken off in the front, we would we'd really be there. So we're gonna go right here, and then we're gonna do a little measurement, because we only need to go to the front of the tower. I forgot it doesn't come down all the way. It actually sits up on the rails, so we need it there, and then we need to go back. We're gonna go 32 millimeters. It's always the side of the ruler with the, what are they, 0.5 millimeters, 0.5 millimeter increments. When you're trying to squint at it with old eyes from a distance, 32 looks like it's right there. Okay, now see if we can swivel it without knocking the body off. See how far in it's going to cut. It's about what I anticipated, really. It's about what I anticipated. It's not going to get into the camera mount. We'll be clear of the camera mount. But in order to cut this, I need to access it from both sides, which means we need to pull the roof. And it's just a snowball effect. A little bit of this guy, not just useful for cutting in door jambs. You can smudge them up with melted ABS as well. Just takes it off smooth, does it not? Nice clean firewall up there. Same approach. Took that off. That should, I did not measure or confirm that this was wide enough. Yes, this is actually a little too wide as it is. We'll have to trim it down to fit in between those screw holes. Or I'll just, like I say, I'll take Dremel. I'll Dremel some notches in so that fits. But we don't know what height that this goes at because we haven't gotten the body to sit down flat on the rails yet. I made my marks. I transferred them over. They were supposed to actually be a little shorter lengthwise, but there was the other hole, the hole for the fold-down bench. It was right there in the corner. You can just kind of see the lip of it. So I cut it out to the front of that. I just tried to approximate them the same size. For a rig this big, you would expect to have to cut bigger holes in the floor. And I mean, on some level, I do expect having to cut bigger holes in the floor, because how often do these sit down right on the first try? And we still haven't sorted out the front yet. I am definitely going to commit and shorten the wires for the lighting now. I mean, we don't need, we definitely don't need that. Even if we go with a different lighting box or a different, whoa, okay, hold on. Wait. That can't be all the way down. It can't be all the way down. Because it's sitting on the plug for the fusion. Okay, all right. Nothing to do with our holes. Look at that. I mean, if you want to talk about unobtrusive, look at that, because you don't have to cut into this face. Should have done this a long time ago. We are sitting, you'll notice, see the gap, the sit-up? It is because right there on the tower, there's this little flat lip guy. So we have two choices. We can either machine that off, which I would rather not, or we cut the floor back a little smidge to clear the backs of those towers. And I think that because that hole is so small, I could get real delicate with it, I'm not going to. I'm going to cut it back to the end of the tower. I didn't think we would need to. Make a mark on that side. Make a mark on that side. And just Dremel extend those 2 holes. And we'll sort the rest out later. I get into this mode is the problem, which is where I try to get really precise while fully acknowledging to myself while it's happening that level of precision is uncalled for. We could have just drilled big gaping holes to run the shock towers through, but I can't. I have to cut them so fine that there's no air gap around them, and we are sitting down. And I know that I said that I was just going to do them square, but I didn't. We tapered it around the tower a little bit. There they are. So now, you of course, you know exactly what I'm thinking. Remove this bracketry. Make a part that goes side to side across the whole thing. Put some sides on it. Just completely cover the towers all together. Leave us a spot right here to store the spare, the backup battery. Because he runs with 2 batteries all the time, a 4200 in the front and a 4200 at the back. Now, yeah, have I thought about a Y adapter that goes to both ends and I haven't pulled it? I would, but we don't tend to be out often enough. So what I do is I just cycle. 1 week I run this one, the next week I run that one, and then they just cycle back and forth. When he gets done with his run, I take this one out, I charge it, and as soon as I plug that one into the charger, I take the other one, put it up in the front, strap it into place, and then when this one goes, that way we know we're cycling. Now, because we've got so much clearance, like we have more than enough room to put that battery right there, and then we'll fabricate a little piece to go under this, and ooh, is it? Okay. So when you put the leafs on, when you do the leaf kit, the leaf conversion, you have to do some cutting. And then if you are absolutely enamored by the look of the GCM LRT2, you have to cut even more. You have to cut all of this bracket out because ordinarily the motor sits right up here a little bit further forward, and there's the T-case and then the transmission bolts right in there. So you're cutting all that apart, but you need to retain the servo mounting part. And don't think I haven't thought, just go to a regular F10 instead of a T, SOA bracket. A lot of problems get solved. No, you got to have chassis mounted steering. You have to have chassis mounted steering. So I left a little bit of a, you can see, get out of there. There's a little bit of a taper right there. And that's just a little bit of a thicker wall. Now that end, that is basically wide enough. So where that taper isn't, so if we Dremel this back real careful like, I think we can, without killing the structural integrity, that's the question. Can you see the little rounded off bit? Not really, right there. I worry, I mean, do we want to be cutting into that, or do we just want to mount this up higher? I think I might have just seen an even easier way to do it. And if there's an even easier way to do it, I'm going to take that. So we need a plate 40 by, we'll go tower to tower, 80. Does that taper? That looks like it might taper. I've got 83. I got 80. I think it's this outside. It's giving me a parallax sensation. We're gonna give it a shot at 40 by 83. I had another momentary flash, which is rather than just 40 by 83, because I saw we can cover that off, which will get a lot less stuff up under the hood. Just cut this out at 83, and by gum, that's about 83. What we can do then is we can find us a silver Sharpie that is still relatively sharp. I've got some that are just blunted and I should have thrown them away years ago. So we'll go right there and we'll make a mark right here. We'll set this down like this and we'll make a mark right here. We'll grab our combo. Well, if you're not getting stare it in on the action, like are you even working? We'll mark like that. Do a little mark like that. The bespoke is where it's at. So now we can run that back probably about to the end of the motor. Oh wait, there's it'll no, it'll go over that. It'll go over that. So we will go to the end of the can, which is right there. Go inside that. So we will have to bandsaw this. Well, sort of. Why does silver Sharpies dry out so fast? And dry out so fast, I mean, you have it open. You set it down for a second. Oh, I need to move this over, and then it's dry already. Damn old silver Sharpies. Yeah, call that 100. We can trim it back from 100. Of course, full raw, no deburring, no cleanup at all, fresh off of the bandsaw. Is 40 too long? Is 83 too wide? 83 is a smidgen too hopeful. I mean, it's a little overlocked. Oh, there's a little dude right there in the shock tower, that little round guy. That's what we're hanging up on, but we're also just a hair, an absolute hair. I didn't quite follow the line. We're a little too thick right there. Need to hit that on the sander. Just gonna take just the face of this off so we can just nudge. We'll clean that up a little. We'll put two little notches on the sides for these little boys. I gotta get it to set down. Well, maybe I don't. No, I do. I gotta smooth it off first. Relatively drama-free once I decided to stop woodworking it so much. Cut it down a couple millimeters so it'll actually, well, just sand it down a couple millimeters so it actually clear the shock towers, because the shock towers aren't just, they're like, so we're working around that the whole time. That's going to go right like that. That's going to be great, because then this is just going to hop right in here. We'll have the headlight wiring come in from the other side, or that side. I might cut a third slot. Like I don't run a seal in this or anything, and it has big notches cut in the sides. I'm not worried about absolute waterproofing, because if water's up to the hood, water is up to the hood. I mean, this would be the perfect opportunity to address something like that, but we already have enough on the table. I said we were going to do the whiteboard thing, and we obviously did not do that. All right. I also stopped myself. That was when I wanted to say, we'll just make a plate and we'll cover it. Nope. No, you won't. No, you won't. You can do that the next time Bruce comes in for a tremendous service and rebuild interval. He's going out completely different than how he came in. Okay, what am I still... It's all these. They're right across the top of the chassis. That's the button. It's the button. I need to start getting into... Okay, what is... There! Ooh, yeah! I mean, we're getting clean under that hood now. So we'll get those wires tucked out of the way. We will probably grab another hank of that Kydex and run it tower to tower. And yeah, I will probably just nut and bolt it on. I'll countersink it. You know what? I can fit that in. We'll do that. We'll do that. Where's that piece of Kydex? So here's the other piece. Okay. Let's slam the door on it, you know? We'll make a slot. We'll make a panel that goes from the back of the towers, and yeah, that's 152 millimeters from arch to arch. Oh, these also... Oh, the front end's all stiffened up now. Oh, I love it. I had wanted to put these inner fenders in for a long time. Oh, by the way, it's 152 millimeters from side to side. No, it's not. It's 150. And then at the very back, at the firewall, we are looking at... It's a little wider than 160, so we're going to do it 160. So we're just going to... Well, this piece is 202 millimeters across. So that gives us about a 42 millimeter piece. That is big enough to use. So we cut the big piece to 160, which is pretty much spot on. We might have to leave a... Yes, we'll put a notchy in for the servo wire. But we don't know where the notchy is going to be until this lays down. So, we need it to be 160 in the front. It's 150. We need it to be 160 at the back and 150 at the front. That is a 10 millimeter difference. So we're going to take this guy and we're going to go 5 millimeters. I'm going to make a little zoop and a little zoop. Probably, you know what? We should probably do it on the other side. It's going to be easier to see. The textured side hides extraordinarily well. I also remembered where one of my very favorite tools is. It's in the apron that I should be wearing right now, but I'm not. And then we're going to go from the very corner to the 5 right there. So it looks like a pencil, but it's a scriber. It's so good. That's how the woodworkers do it. And we ain't cutting that. We're going straight to the sander for that. Right there to the corner. Right there to there. Right down the ruler. Bam. All right. The wife poked her head in a minute ago and was like, "You smoking weed?" Yeah. The Kydex, when it's coming hot off the sander, it's got there's a little of that skunky smell to it. Not exactly. There's a little more chemical to it. So you choose your poison, pick your poison. When you're cutting Delrin, it smells like fish and plastic. This smells a little bit like weed and chemicals. Trapezoid? Under his hood is going to be so good. And I will say, we didn't quite bring it in enough because someone is a stooge. They didn't measure the distance from the firewall to the back of the tower, which is 65 millimeters. This is 83. This is 83. Now you might be asking, will this affect our taper? Yes. Because that is 152. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness. Oh my gracious. He could have cut it finer. But boy, am I glad that I didn't. We're just going to Dremel out it needs to be not tight around the wire. Because if you only remove enough just to clear the wire, they can, and they'll just rub through. We ain't got no grommets in here. Now it clears. Oh, is it too long? Steering column? I'm thinking. That. I think it's a steering column because it feels like it wants to lay down, but it doesn't. So let us cut out for the steering column. Steering column goes right like that. I don't need to go that far. We need to just make another little notchy. To me, it looks like it goes in an angle, and I mean the steering column. I don't think it actually does. And is that flat? We're still touching something. So we then remind ourselves that we're making a battery platform and not a piano. And then we just take a big old bite out of the back of it so that the wire and the steering column and everything clear. We check to see that for fitment. It is touching the very top corner of the servo, which I can see now because the hole is bigger. I don't know if this big plank, which is a plank, but isn't going to seal. I don't know if it's going to make the dust situation better or worse. I think it looks, I need something. There we go. Yep. It is the very top edge, the very back lip. The lip of the kit. Oh, it's so... In between the cuts, I turn the music on. It keeps my brain sane. It makes it so I can't hear the tinnitus. We need to cut. The bane of my day has been the Silver Sharpie. We've been doing tremendously otherwise, but the Silver Sharpie has just been a real genuine pain. You know what? We're just going to take a bite about that big again. Because I remind myself, there's nothing there now. And I mean, oh no. It's a micro servo that is bigger than you think. This is the universe repaying me for me two-shotting the rear towers. It's down. It's down. If it's not down, it's down enough. Now, we must do something requisite, which is wrap all these wires up so they're not interfering with the hood. Shove this guy over there. Grab our 4200. We'll do them this way. Ugh, they need... Why is it that in every time you go to position a battery, it needs the Velcro over the side that reminds you of what the battery is? Like I put them on the other side with like the caution, don't throw this in your fireplace. It definitely needs the Velcro on the other side because look how nice that lays down. I've got clips and routes. We will route the power wire right over so it's just easy to plug. And I just want to use a piece of Velcro down across the top of that because, unless I'm wrong, I don't think I am, just sealed up clean. Bruce, my boy. Is it high weight? Sure. Does it matter? Not really. We kept it in the front. That's all that really matters to me. We will get the rest of the wire sorted out. I've got to figure out. Now see, this is one of those, we've reached that point, and it's the point where I call it the step away. How am I going to affix the lower panel to the fenders? Like, I don't want to, like, I can just glue it in. I kind of don't want to do that for future serviceability. The top is going to be simply, I will look right here, right through the middle, right there. Bink. And then right there, bink. It makes a zzz. Bink. 2 screws. Countersunk on this side. Lock nuts up on the bottom. It's not like a tire is ever going to be able to touch it. Easy to access. And then we will have this wire come back down. It'll wrap around it. Oh, man. Didn't need the notch for that at all. Because I could have easily just undone the wire from the and then unlooped it. We may indeed still do that. We may unloop that because it'll be easier to get it to the box. Look how nice that is. I love that. You know, if there's only one other thing that it makes me want to do, we're adding things to the list. Son of a. I probably have a scrap that's big enough. Who here would also go full madness and see if they can cut a piece of Kydex and just firewall it on the back? Ooh, I really kind of want to, because sometimes the camera picks up the light sneaking in around the steering wheel servo. That would remedy that. I can't believe how much the fenders tighten up the front end, but it is significant and considerable. Is this just slightly too long? Is that what it is? It might just be slightly too long. 65 millimeters? How about 64 millimeters? I think it's just, yep. And now we're sitting down flat. It was just right up against the hump of the back of the tire. So, more than likely, most likely, one might even go so far as to say, between this one and the next one, I'm going to take care of the wiring. It's not fun. Stuff needs to be soldered. Leads need to be cut down significantly. This is terrible. It's terrible. I can remove that because that is the power lead for the module. Yeah. I love that you can't see through to the floor anymore. It's like an engine compartment now. I am going to figure something out to fix this down. It might, odds are it's my good buddy Wotech, the really thick oh, wait, no, I have a brand new one. I got a brand new Wotech. This is Canyon triple certified Wotech 1.1 inch double-sided tape, extra thick, no residue. This stuff is the absolute best. This is my second roll. I'm almost out. This is my third roll. So I've gone through 27 feet of Wotech. And that is after sampling every other type of tape you can imagine, from Gorilla Clear, Racing, the stuff I bought at the Daiso, the Japanese dollar store, Grayback 3M tape, any servo tape, specific servo tape you can think of, the 3M that looks like the Gorilla, all of them. This is the absolute best, because when you cut a piece of it, you can just take your fingernail and just peel the backing off. You ever had to fight with your servo tape where it wants to just keep peeling off? Wotech is like, I leave these pieces like that. Will most likely be the piece that goes on the back of the button. I had hoped that there was still a piece of something that had a piece of Wotech on it so I can show you how easy it removes. I can. So here's the big piece that was holding the servo down. You literally just... There is nothing better. And It's $9 for the 13-foot roll. We did good today. We genuinely did. The stream of consciousness stayed streamy. Bruce looks more like Bruce. And as I said, almost everything we're going to do, except like the last thing we do, which is make the friggin' bumper, won't be noticeable from the outside. Like if you see him driving, you're going to be able to tell. I know this is the wrong side. You're going to be able to tell that he's on 10 Pros. We'll know. As a collective, we'll know. Oh, look, he's got little anime hair things. We're going to figure out what to do about the license plate because I think I'm 98.64% committed to running a spare tire on the back because when he had his body on, well, actually, when the body was off, but the roof was on, I just took one of these and I went like this and I went, oh, yeah. Oh, that looks real good. And if I mount a tire with no insert on a plastic wheel of unknown origin, I'm hoping that I have some kind of simple 5-bolt plastic bead lock that I can paint white and then just bolt it on and it'll look like a spare and I'll bolt it on inside out. This is maybe part of what we'll be doing next time. And then I will unbolt this whole mechanism and Jeep style mount it. So like the wheel will be mounted like this, but it's not a proper bead lock, so it won't have the ring. And we'll hopefully be able to mount the license plate right up on that. Yeah, it'll look cool. It'll look cool. It's nothing but looks. We've got a bunch of functional stuff that we're doing, and I have the winch unbolted, so I have no excuses now. I need to do the wiring for that. I need to go into the bin, and I need to get red LEDs and make a wire. These are white. I need to get a red LEDs to run to the back for the taillights. We will get to cutting on that bumper eventually. Eventually. The problem here is that right here on the bench are 2 rear bumpers. So if we get all of them wired and we get them put back together and we're like, well, time to go and run him, we can go and then and then go drive him. So we're afforded some degree of laziness. He's got 10 Pros on him. His front end should have a lot less wander. He's going to have a full, lovely engine compartment up in the front. I will do this at the same time because I want to get once the wiring begins, we'll get the body mounted back down and then we won't have to worry about it anymore. Honestly, I would barely even notice that the towers are in there, save for the fact that I used to run battery number 2 right there. Well, battery number 2 is now going to run right there, just like that. Bruce is deep fording through the stream of consciousness as we continue on the Bruce Overhaul program. He ain't mad about it. I ain't mad about it. We'll see what we're going to do. And remember, we haven't gotten to the super bag wheels and tires yet. We haven't gotten anywhere near the bumper. I made myself more work today. It's all good though. Thanks everybody. Thanks for dropping by the canyon for this one. That's what this one is. It's in the description. Be fair warned. We're going all over the place. I will see you in the next one. In between now and when we meet again, please one and all, do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We'll see if you can get into the canyon. If you got any questions, comments below, as always, and we will see you in the next one.